Hi, I'm Josan Callender, the author of the Happy Little Garbage Truck picture book and educational system. And as I said before, this book, which I've created with my mom, the story of the happy little garbage truck in a little community that learns to doing his best job, is actually something that helps him in the long run. And to me, the book talks a lot about self-esteem, and sometimes we just know within ourselves that what we're doing actually is helping us grow and become stronger individuals. Well, that is the basis of my story, and the educational materials help teach children not only literacy but social skills towards having a stronger self-esteem. Well, these conversations have actually been built up because of that original theme of self-esteem, and resiliency is the actual topic that brought so many things to mind as I was researching it. So today, as we sort of culminate this conversation, I had another thought last night as I was just reflecting on what we found out and learned in these different research articles. And it actually made me think, what if stress was needed to build resiliency? And this came up like out of the blue. But it made me think back to when I had my Ford Escape. I love that car, but I had some difficulties with the car in the beginning, and took it to the mechanic to see what was going on with it. And I remember that the mechanic did a stress test, and this was a ways back. So I kind of looked up stress tests. How does that help a car? And I found something interesting. One of the bloggers said that uh, engineers can actually do a thermal test on the engine, putting it up to its peak power where the temperatures become very, very high. And they're putting the engine through grueling paces to test its durability. And that was what caught my attention, because these tests are higher levels of stress than the engine would go through during any normal course of the day with a regular driver. But it's sort of what we're looking at in our human experience. The stress puts us through same type of test so that we can test our resiliency mental muscles, and they're strengthened by the tests. And I know this is kind of like a divergent thought process, but usually when I'm in a tough situation, I'm looking for the quickest way out of it so I don't have to deal with it anymore. And if we are bailed out of tight situations instead of working through them, how would that help us? I remember a minister was talking about how he was in a financial hole, and some uncles of his gave him money to bail him out. And within a year, he was back in financial trouble. But at that second juncture, he worked a couple of jobs, paid off the debt, and he found that he would not get into that situation ever again. And I thought about that, and I said, that's so true, that sometimes being bailed out isn't the solution. And here's the question: might our resiliency, our minds, be our superpower or our secret weapon against these stressful situations? Well, I found there are many examples of stressors, how stressors in nature are sort of like building systems. We all heard the tale of the caterpillar struggling to get out of the cocoon, and if you help the open the cocoon too soon, and we did butterflies in our classroom, but I told the children, "You can't help the butterfly out because if you do that, its wings won't fully form and it'll die." And that's true. We cannot make the process go faster. It's just not the way things are supposed to go. And I found this really interesting article by Travis Brownlee. It's called The Necessity of Stress, and I put the link to the article in my description box. And he captured this perfectly, how stress was necessary. He talked about biosphere 2, and it was a research project that allowed scientists to check how agricultural um, processes might be helped in a biosphere, that dome over a patch of ground. And they found that trees grew really fast, faster than they normally would. But before they reached maturation, they just toppled over. And the scientists later found out that because they didn't have the force of wind, they didn't grow deep roots and they didn't grow stress wood. And I found out that stress wood was the kind of wood that helps the tree position itself for optimal sun absorption and grow more solidly. So, Mr. Brownlee offered that we teach our students to engage in stress, to manage the consequences of choices, which is thinking skills, looking at things, making decisions, and making choices. And he offered that we teach them to strike a healthy balance between work and play and wellness as a more fulfilling route to take on the road to success. Finally, I love that Mr. Brownlee he used a Robert Frost poem, "The Road Less Traveled," which I love too, and he suggested that we teach our students not to avoid stress, but to turn toward the win, make decisions, learn to adapt, and learn stress management techniques. And to me, this is helping them build resiliency. And so, just an offering, it's a thought, sort of like an aside, but to me, it connected. And I hope this was a very useful conversation for you too. Please subscribe, please share. Thank you, those of you who have shared and subscribed. And I look forward to talking with you in the next conversation. Bye bye.